When Gibran Graham isn't coming up with the next big idea for Bangor through BangPop, dodging balls with Fusion Bangor, taking over a Bangor venue at Cha Night, wrangling films with River City Cinema, or demanding lots of bacon at the very social media breakfasts at which you currently sit, you may find him working at the Briar Patch downtown or checking into Giacomo's for the 388th time. Yes, really. In fact, Gibran holds the honor of 51 Foursquare mayorships from Bangor to North Carolina, earned over the course of his 7,922 check-ins. To explain what this means and why it's not all that crazy, here's our speaker, Gibran Graham.
I haven't even had any bacon today. That's bad. How's everybody doing? Justin, help me here.
Unplug the cord, you plug it in.
Okay. Okay. So, first question for you all, because there's a quiz this morning. Yeah, I'm afraid so. All right. We'll hold off on the quiz. Let's just start, I guess. Here we go. Come on. Ah, all right. So, all right. We're all here to talk about... Oh, wait, sorry. Different presentation. Sorry. Foursquare. Who knew there was a new MySpace, by the way? Who knew that? Shame on you. Shame on me. Okay, so... What?
Justin Timberlake, suit and tie.
All right, so here's the quiz. How many of you are Foursquare users? Now, how many of you checked in today at all this morning? How many of you checked into Husson University? How many of you checked into the Dyke Center for Family Business? How many of you checked into Social Media Breakfast Bangor? How many of you checked into all three? Two of them. How many of you checked into somewhere else other than those three locations this morning? Interesting. Now, raise your hand if you have never used Foursquare before. Everyone else take a look. Keep your hands raised. Everybody else take a look around at these people with their hands.
I'll raise mine. I started using it 2 days ago. So.
You're such a cheater. These are the people that we need to convince as they walk out of here to be Foursquare users. Not just my job, it's all of our jobs. All right, so Foursquare launched in 2009 at the South by Southwest Festival. And in a little more than a year, it hit the 1 million user mark, which was a lot faster than Twitter had at the time. Basic overview, people use it to find places to go, what their friends and experts recommend. They check into businesses while they're walking around in the real world, and they can also leave tips for others about what they liked about places. Very similar to a lot of other location-based review apps like Yelp and that kind of thing. You can check into places and you can let people know what you thought. Foursquare also has lots of free tools to help businesses, organizations, and others to get discovered and connect with their customers. So Foursquare is available on iPhone as a mobile app. It's available on Android, and it's available on BlackBerry. There's also a mobile app, mobile site. So if you have a phone that has a browser but is not one of those three, you can still access and check in and use Foursquare. You can also access Foursquare on their own website, but you can't check in on the website.
Can I add something?
Yes.
Because I just discovered, because I don't have a phone.
Right.
There's also a Foursquare plugin for Chrome so that you can check in from your browser on your desktop using Chrome.
Right. There are lots of third-party Foursquare apps to be able to use alongside to be able to do things like that. You can also SMS text to check in as well, which is very clunky. Who does that? No. So numbers as of January this year. There are over 30 million people worldwide using Foursquare. It's 3 billion check-ins. There are over 1 million businesses using the platform. And Foursquare has over 100 employees from New York, San Francisco, and London. So those of you that have used Foursquare before, you have the app, you know what your own profile looks like. From here, you can do all sorts of things like look at who you have for friends, what your stats are, like the ones that Justin rambled off, photos that you've taken, tips that you've left, badges that you've earned, and lists that you have started yourself. Now, when you look at Foursquare on the app, it does a lot of the same types of things that some of these other location apps do. And also integrates some of those things that you're used to with, say, Facebook or even Twitter, as far as shouting out about things. Likewise, the website has a lot of those same kind of functions that Foursquare uses as well. It's not a replacement for Facebook. It's not a replacement for something like Facebook. It's not a replacement for Twitter. But it is a tool that allows you to interact with both of those social media platforms, or just one of them, or not at all, in what you're doing when you're checking into a place. And we'll sort of talk more about that. So at its heart, it's a social city guide. And you, in the real world, walk into places such as Social Media Breakfast, and you check in. You will find out which one of your friends are checked in here. You will find out if there are any specials. We'll get more to that at the location. You can also see, based on where you are, what else is around you. There's an Explore feature on Foursquare that allows you to find all sorts of different things. So, for example, if I wanted to find bacon, I could type in bacon, and based on feedback that had come through on the Foursquare site, Nikki's Cruisin' Diner, crispy bacon, blueberry pancakes, crispy bacon, can't go wrong. Also, bacon printing. There's a keyword search. What you don't see on Schooners actually is down underneath there is that it talks about the bacon wrapped scallops. So locations. Locations are added by users for the most part. When about 2009's launched, 2010, when it first launched, there was sort of a set number of cities that were set up to use Foursquare. One of them being New York, which is where it started. And then larger cities sort of, got added to it, including at one point Portland. No Bangor, no VZ. But what happened was people that started using it started to add locations on it around here, even though it wasn't a focused city. We have to say that, well, the region that we were in or the city that we were attached to was Boston or Portland when we started adding locations. Eventually they opened it up to everywhere, and you were able to, as they continued to develop it, you were able to really say that you were in Bangor or any other city or town in the country or world. So those first few users that were using it around here started to map the Bangor area onto Foursquare. There are a couple of the users that I see in this room that I remember being on there very early. But between all of our own travels and our interest in this app, we really kind of started to map it, which was a lot of fun. And it ended up being that you ended up knowing almost everybody on there, because there was 25 people using Foursquare in the Bangor area. What was interesting was, after it really opened up, and probably about, I guess it was about a year and a half after that, that when the universities came back into session in the fall, wherever students were coming from, or wherever they went over the summer, they came back using Foursquare. And all of a sudden, you saw so much more activity. This also coincided with a lot of the other chain businesses starting to adopt Foursquare as a marketing tool and adding specials. So you would see places like in the mall, whether it was American Eagle or Aerie or some of the larger chain restaurants that would end up having specials. But they were pretty much it. So, getting back to locations. This is a screenshot from looking at the website. And you can tell if you're looking up a location. We have WHSN 89.3 FM. Mark, who's not the mayor, by the way.
I just
But
signed up 2 days ago.
But he has been there.
Give me time, sir.
Right. So this is an example of when you're looking up a location on the website. You get a bunch of different information. And like I said, a lot of this is user-generated. And HSN was. Mark didn't put up there. In fact, it might have been me. I don't know. A long time ago. I've only checked in there 4 times. But you were able to put in, you have to, when you're programming a location, you have to put in a category. And there's lots of different categories to choose from. This one, for example, is a radio station and a moving target. And we'll talk about moving targets later. You're able to put in phone number, a Twitter handle, a website, description, and you're also able to add photos. And when a photo is added to a check-in to a location, it ends up getting tagged to that location pretty much forever. So you can actually go through all the photos that were ever taken at a check-in for WHSN and see what happened. This becomes incredibly relevant when you're talking about products at a business as well, or events. This is, of course, tied into my own account, so you're seeing my number of check-ins there, but you're also seeing the total different users that have ever checked into that location, as well as the total number of check-ins, the current mayor and why, and we'll talk more about mayors. I have one friend that is checked in there, which is baby Mark Nason.
I don't know why that profile picture is still there. That was like last year's.
You would have to update it. When you first, because you joined a long time ago, actually, but never used it.
Yeah, I'll put my new Burt Reynolds one on there.
Perfect. So all this information ends up being what is searchable when people are looking for things on Foursquare. Now, other than when things are created, there are different levels of users based on how active they've been on Foursquare. They get awarded super user status. And there's a few different levels of that. But what that allows those users to do is allows them to go into different venues and edit them. Get rid of duplicate venues. Get rid of venues that don't really exist and aren't there just for fun. Change the location for things. So say, for example, somebody thought that they wanted to become mayor of some place by checking in all the time, but they live 2 blocks away from the location, and that's no fun if people are kind of cheating. So you can actually see that people are checking in and they've created a location for something where it's not, and you can move it. Super users are able to do that. But you can also, as a business or the owner of a venue, you can actually claim that venue and be able to manage it. And at that point, not only can you alter the information that has been put in there by users and super users, you can also lock out super users from being able to change anything that you want to put on there, and you can do a lot more things with it as well. So here's another location that I'm sure many of us have been to, Giacomo's. Here you'll see, again, there is categories, and you can put up to 3 categories for a location from the website. Phone number, Twitter handle, website, description. The heart means that I've liked it. You see that I've had 489 check-ins, because I checked in this morning. Sorry, Justin. There's a total of 2,724 check-ins to this location alone. That's individual check-ins. 423 different users made those check-ins. The mayor is our very own Jess Lothian. That happened recently because I had to give it up. And I have 100 friends that have been here. There's 104 photos mostly of food, on this as well. But not all locations have to be serious. They can be fun. If anybody knows Chad Lothian, Chadda on Twitter, this is a location for his beard, which also has its own Twitter handle. Chad's also has a blog called If My Coaster Could Talk, which is linked there. But you can have a lot of fun with Foursquare as well. Obviously, I was not in Chad's beard, but that beard might have been. So, but 3 friends have already been here, and it was just created. And I am mayor.
It's a big beard.
No, but it's still disturbing.
It is disturbing. All right, so there's an element to Foursquare that really is for the user. It can be just fun, and that's sort of what it started off with for a lot of people right away. It was gamified, and it had a few different elements to it. One was being mayor. You are mayor of a location by having the most check-ins on individual days to that location within the past 60 days. So when this first began in, say, New York, people were really starting to use it in the city, there would be businesses, and there still are, that saw the value of, well, if people are kind of in this mayoral race for my location, that means they're going to keep coming in, and they're going to keep checking in, and being mayor is something I could reward them with. So people would start doing things like putting a sandwich board sign out in front of their coffee shop and saying, the mayor gets their coffee for free. So what happens? Foursquare users are going there, they're checking in, they're trying to be mayor so they can get free coffee. Bars did this too. I wish a bar would do that around here. So there's the mayoral game element of it. There's also a point element. Points just for fun. They can't redeem them for anything, but like a lot of other fun apps, that reward points, they're, maybe a bragging right, that type of thing. I got this amount of points. You can check and see how many points your friends have. And you get those points from different things like checking into a place for the first time, checking into so many places in one day. There's all sorts of different formulas for why you get those points. There's also badges. People kind of like badges. They're like digital candy. They are, again, digital, so they're only on your phone or your computer. But there are lots of different badges that are just sort of fun to have received. These are city badges. There's all sorts of different kinds. So these ones are city badges. You can see the Twin Cities up top, St. Paul, Minnesota, have very similar badges, flip-flop there. There's a Beantown badge for Boston. They all have clever descriptions and something in their image that talks about where it is. Another type of badge are the expert badges, and these come from checking into certain types of places multiple times. The Zoetrope badge would be for having a certain amount of movie theater check-ins. You get awarded that. The Warhol badge for checking into art galleries. And there are levels to this too. You can earn like a second level Warhol badge, for example, as you continue going through. Another type of badge are the partner badges. And these are badges that partners of Foursquare, paid partners, buy a badge to increase visibility and interactivity with their fans. Everything from Major League Soccer to, Nokia put a South by Southwest badge out last year. And you see a lot of really large conferences, especially ones that deal with social media and marketing, that look to do these types of things alongside their conferences. Sporting events, awards. Now, there are, Foursquare themselves have a set number of badges other than these ones, such as the first time you check in, you get a newbie badge. So you get sort of rewarded right off with a badge. The other great element for the user on Foursquare are specials. And we'll talk about how you create a special. But what happens is when you check into a place that has a special and you qualify for that, because there's different ways to do it, you will have a pop-up screen on your mobile device that says you unlocked a special. For example, this is a check-in special. And when I checked into Giacomo's this morning, this popped up. And so I viewed it. And it says, "Welcome to Giacomo's. Thanks for stopping by and checking in. Please enjoy a free small coffee on us, and don't forget to like Giacomo's on Foursquare." That's pretty cool, right? This is available today only, until they close at 6 o'clock. So those of you that are on Foursquare, and those of you that aren't and are going to be after you leave here, you should go down to Giacomo's, check in, and then follow the instructions. You just show your mobile screen with this image to the register, and you'll get a free small coffee. Also today, announced on Twitter earlier this morning, Governors decided they were going to launch their first check-in special in honor of us talking about this today. So if you were looking for Governors on Foursquare, or you were in the vicinity of Governors, and you would see on their profile or on the little check-in bar, you would see that they had a special. And what's the special? Well, there's a loyalty special. And this one is get a free slice of pie every third check-in at Governor's Bangor. So this is obviously good for not just today, but going forward, every time you check in, you start adding up your check-ins, and Foursquare keeps track of that for you. So if you go, for example, the next 3 days, each day, then on Saturday, you're going to get a free slice of pie. So let's talk about Foursquare for Business. Now, for the purposes of this, try not to think of business as being just a restaurant or a retail location. Those seem to be the easiest ways to correlate between specials and that type of thing of Foursquare activity. You go into stores, you get a discount, you go into a restaurant, you get something for free. In this case, business is more than just those retail and restaurant locations. It can also be a radio station. It can be a nonprofit organization that has an office. It can be a museum. It can be a movie theater. There are all sorts of different ways to use Foursquare for all these different types of businesses. So the first thing you have to do when you want to use Foursquare for your business is you need to claim your location. So if you have a location, you would look it up, and then on the screen, right on the website, you have to do this on the website, you will see that you have the ability to claim it. When you do that, you come up with this screen, and it talks a little bit about the benefits, what you'll get. You have to confirm that you are the owner working on behalf of the owner. And then you have to verify. Now, of course, in order to do this, you yourself have to have a Foursquare account. So what happens is, because it's a mobile app, they will have your phone number. So when you choose to do this, there are two different ways you can. You can do instant verification, which they have a one-time dollar fee, which pays for the phone verification service, which is a little new. They started doing this last year just because they were seeing a lot more of this happening, and phone verification services do cost money. Or you can go with snail mail verification, which takes a lot longer. So they will charge a dollar fee after verification, and what happens after this, when you click through the continue, it will put your phone number and say, we're going to call you at this phone number, and they're going to ask you a few questions. They're going to record your answers. So they're going to ask you what your name is, what the name of the business is, and what your relationship to the business is. And unless you've been claiming businesses probably all morning, they will say, okay, sounds good, and you'll instantly be approved to claim that business. If you are claiming something that might not be a traditional bricks and mortar business with a location, it can't be found in the yellow pages or online, they might say, well, we need to have our staff just verify this, and we'll send you an email as soon as we do. That, again, will happen if you are trying to claim something like a park, Chata's beard.
A Zumba escort, sir.
Well, it depends. If you're in the yellow pages or on Craigslist, maybe not. But or you know, something, you know, that like downtown Bangor. If you tried to claim downtown Bangor, they probably wouldn't instantly verify that. So you really need to kind of think about what it is you are. But of course, there's the easy way of, you know, they're going to check what that is. So if you had maybe just an online business and it wasn't a bricks and mortar store, their staff are probably going to, you know, take a look at your name, which is tied to also obviously your credit card and your account. They're going to look up your business online. They're going to see, you know, if it's a nonprofit organization, for example, and you are executive director or on the board of directors, they're going to verify some of the information. They may even call an official number for that organization or something just to verify that. So, yeah.
There's a way to claim multiple locations at once. Say you have like 57 locations.
There is. We'll get to that. So after you claim, your claim is successful, and you get started. And then this is where it gets into a few different things, like organizing your locations. So say you are a chain, and you have many locations. You can signify that this particular one is part of a chain or not of a chain. And you have the ability to group all these together so that you're able to use them. And there's some other tools to be able to do that with as well that I'll show you in a little bit. And then you get taken to this screen. This is for Giacomo's. And what you're able to do when you claim a business and you're able to manage it you're able to do local updates. These are sort of like status updates on Facebook. But these will go to people that like your business, or they will go up on your venue's page for when people look at your business either on the app or on the website. You can attach photos, you can attach a special, but it's a really good way of being able to stay in communication. So let's say you are Giacomo's. You probably would want to put your daily specials out there every morning to let people know. So when they're checking in, or maybe maybe you work downtown Bangor and you want to go get some breakfast or lunch and you're undecided and you're about to check into Bagel Central and it pops up and you're like, oh, they got that at Giacomo's. I'm going to go there today. So you would change. So you can see a couple things from this too. If this is your business page, you're going to see how many customers you've had and your total check-ins and the number of likes for your page so far. Trying to see if I'm missing anything on there. Yeah. You also get other tools when you claim a venue. They will send you some different pieces of information. You'll get some window decals or door decals. So you can remind your customers that use Foursquare that when they get there, check in. This is especially useful because you want to make sure that people are talking about your business. The more interactivity, the more ways you're going to be able to engage with your customer base or your fan base. All right, so we're going to look a little deeper at Giacomo's, for instance. So we saw the screen before. They've had 2,700 check-ins total since they've been a venue, which I think was in 2010, late 2010, early 2011, late 2010. And 423 different people have checked in there. The other thing people see when they're looking at your location on the app or on the website, and again, you can control this information, so it's only going to be there if you put it on there, are your hours. At the time that this was viewed, it was at Jacquemus was currently closed. So it tells the user if you are open, if you have the hours in there. You can actually do a lot of different things with the hours. You can put certain special events that you have at the business right into the hours. So if you have a special thing like, say, for example, at the Briar Patch, we have on Thursdays at 10 o'clock, we have story time. We can plug that right into there so that anytime anybody's looking at the venue, they see different things happening. They're also going to see different recent updates. So, for example, this was yesterday, they had Greek pita with chicken on special. And it tells you when that was put out there. It also tells you how many people liked it. Myself, Meg R, Jess L. And you also see all the other different types of updates that they put on.
One thing I saw on Foursquare, just like when we've had all this bad weather,
Mm-hmm.
everybody thinks you're closed, especially for a restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
Using it to say we are open, and if you come in, you get it's very effective because if you're driving around and you're in Portland and you don't know exactly who's open and who isn't, and you're a wireless nomad like I am,
Right.
it's very helpful. And it does make you maybe try something different because you know that they're open and you may not have tried it.
Exactly. If you look down here at the bottom, you see, do you manage this location? Claim here. That's where you would claim location when you look it up on the website. Users can also, share your location with their Foursquare friends, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter. When you are putting a local update on there, you can also share that update, not just on Foursquare, but you can choose to also share it on Facebook or on Twitter as well. And it kind of gives you an ability to do sort of a one-stop shop, again, much like some of the other pay-to-use social media tools that are out there. This one costs you $1 plus time. So you'll be able to put that information out on all three of those platforms. You'll also see tips that people leave. This shows you that I have the ability to leave a tip when I'm looking at the location, as does anybody. It will list the tips by how popular they are, how many likes that they've had. You see our old friend Kara had left a tip about having a cannoli, which was liked by 12 people. And that stays at the top there. Actually, 2009. So actually, Jacquemus has been on there since 2009. And you'll see other tips. And people have the ability to like those tips. You, as the venue owner, have the ability to like those tips as well. Trying to see, we also have Allison, who's in the audience. She has a tip down at the bottom. Granola is excellent. And if you want dessert, but don't want to go crazy, try the mini cannoli. So, as the manager of a venue, you also will get different analytics and stats. You have the option to get a weekly email of stats. Here's an example from the previous week. Check-ins last week were up 59% versus last month and up 87% versus the last year. You will see how many new visitors and how all the check-ins on a daily basis, Monday through Monday. You will also see the social reach. You'll see how many check-ins were sent to Twitter and how many were sent to Facebook. That could be really important when you're looking at this type of thing, because while not everybody is on Foursquare, there's obviously a huge amount of people that are on Facebook and Twitter. Now, those of you that aren't on Foursquare, how many of you see Foursquare check-ins on Facebook? And that can be, I've seen a lot of people get turned over from being a non-Foursquare user by checking, clicking on some of the links on both Twitter and on Facebook and making them new users. So when you think about the reach that you're having when somebody is talking about you, And generally, I think there's a positive message going out most of the time when people are checking in. Sometimes people are adding messages to their check-in, saying something about it, what they're doing, or a photo. Some people are just checking in and feeding it to those other platforms. So, and then it also gives you a gender breakdown. For example, last week, 63% of the check-ins were male, 37% were female. From the website, you can get different analytics. Both the real-world analytics and long-term engagement. This will give you, from what we're looking at right now, it shows you the month, all of February, how many check-ins, and then March so far. In the past 7 days, they've had 29 check-ins. And it also gives you more of that Twitter and Facebook social reach, how many unique customers, and it breaks it down a little bit more as well. And you can also get that information via CSV file as well. So specials. This is a screen where you look at the specials that your venue has created. Right now, there's only one that's on there. But if you had other specials, they would all be listed. And this is where you create new ones. This is how you schedule. This is how you repeat. This is how you edit them. You can see from here, this was taken before today, this screenshot. This special for today was programmed earlier. It was programmed 2 days ago. And you're able to do that. You don't have to do them right when you want them to start. You're able to program them and set them to sort of time start. So you see it's starting at 7 a.m., ending at 6. And then you'll also be able to see, once there's been some data, you'll be able to see the performance of that special as well. How many times that special was clicked on. You yourself, being the receiver of, at the register, you would have to actually know how much you were having that redeemed by whatever way you were doing that. Say you're a retail store and you had a special coupon code. How many times that code was used, for example. So you can start or unschedule. And here you see the different types of specials. And what's really great about this is they give you sort of a real-time look of what this will look like on somebody's phone. So there are different types of specials. You can attract new customers or reward customers. There's a swarm special. So if you want to give something, if there are a certain amount of people that are all checked in at once at your location, that would be a swarm special. Friend special, let's say I check in with 3 of you that are my friends on Foursquare, and we're all checked into a place, and it would unlock for us a different special. There's a flash special, which is really good for an event, for example. This one says the first 10 people that check in after 8 p.m. get 25% off their order. A newbie special, so the first time you check into a location, you get rewarded. That's really nice. And it will usually increase the ability, or increase their chances of checking into your location again. And that interaction and going to all their friends on other social media too. Or just a regular check-in special, like the one at Giacomo's, which is just checking in and you get this. Then there are the rewarding existing customers. There's the loyalty special, like the one for governors, where on a certain amount of check-ins, you get this. And you control that. You're able to say how many check-ins. It could be 2, it could be 10. Only you know how to determine what the activity is that you think is going to give you the best return based on your own stats for your location. And also an actual mayor special, rewarding the mayor for their diligent checking in of your location. Maybe it's mayor gets 20% off their entire bill. Maybe it's they get a free coffee. Maybe it's they get a free beer. Somebody make sure you're tweeting that, free beers. So,
Ron, can I ask you a question?
yes. We'll drill into this a little bit more too as we go. But
Yeah, one of the most eye-opening posts I've seen actually came from you on Facebook said, I just checked in, or I just made a post or something on Google Plus, and the only reason you know about it is because I'm posting it on Facebook. Like, I read that on Facebook, it was your activity. There's these specials and the use for business seem to be rewarding an addict to Foursquare. How is it that you have found communicating to new folks as well as masses, for instance, like the 10 people check in, that's got to be a coordinated event. How do you, instead of just talking to the 4 people that are addicted to Foursquare,
Right.
how are you seeing the general social media realm being used so that this becomes more than just your 4 friends are constantly getting 20% off the bill?
2 ways. One is what you are doing for your business, how you are promoting yourself and marketing the different things that you're doing. For example, a really basic thing is, to put out there that your business is on on Foursquare on your website. You would put a Foursquare like button for your venue, but you would also, if you are doing regular updates to your website, you are letting people know, hey, guess what we've got just started? We started a Foursquare special, like Governors did this morning, saying via Twitter, in honor of Foursquare being talked about at Social Media Breakfast today, we are doing our very first check-in special. Now, if I don't know anything about Foursquare, but I love Governors, and I see that tweet, I'm going to be like, all right, I need to possibly look into this because I love pie. So depending on, how active you are in promoting yourself, you'll do that. Now, the other way is from the user. How many people here have ever got something for free and told something about it? And that's the other thing that this whole model also kind of banks on. Not just telling people person to person, but via other social media, whether it's Twitter or Facebook. And that gets that information out to people. If somebody told me that there was free coffee at Giacomo's if I checked in, and I saw that on Facebook or I saw it on Twitter, I don't know, I'd probably have to just pick up and leave wherever I am and go get some free coffee. So, but I would remember that too. So you're able to generate new users that way and also get the message out. Does that answer your question?
It does. I guess it's a bigger question of social media in general, but if I'm forcing someone to go to a platform by using another platform, and the other platform is where they say, are you finding that Foursquare, and I understand the window mentality of
sure, yeah.
in many different places, but are you finding that Foursquare is a place where there's a stream, like there's a stream of people actively looking and viewing, or do I have to participate on a regular basis in order to know what these specials are? Like, am I pulling people in some sort of a mechanism, or am I just rewarding the chance that you happen to come over and do something?
Well, if you're a Foursquare user, there's different things that are going to tell you that there's a special somewhere. On the Explore tab, you can actually look up local specials. If you're checking into an area and you're looking for a place that you're checking into, you might see that there's a little banner across someone's location that says special. And you may not be going there right now, but you'd be like, wow, they've got a special? I wonder what it is. And so that's one way of, you don't have to necessarily always be searching for the stuff, but whether you're actively searching or passively searching, you will come across it. You want to add something?
I was going to say to that, Carrie, American Express does a fabulous job, I think, promoting their check-in on Foursquare. I mean, my husband is not Mr. Social Media, and he can attest to that. But when on Small Business Saturday, American Express was promoting their $25 off, and I said, oh yeah, I linked my American Express card to this. We went into the Grasshopper shop in Ellsworth. I bought something, instantly got a text, your card's been credited $25. I mean, he was like a believer after that. Bugaboo Creek here in Bangor does a great job. Your first check-in, you get a free dessert. Your 5th check-in, you get a free appetizer, kind of thing. So I think once people get something, like I know with me, whenever I use it a lot when I'm traveling. When I always check now. Whenever I go someplace, especially a restaurant, or if I'm not shopping, I always check to see what the specials are. Even though I'm not good at checking in on a regular basis, I use it because I'm bad at using coupons, but I use it kind of as my coupon place.
And more people are using, different mobile apps to find out about where they are and looking for places. And this is a great one because there's a lot of, especially when you're outside of Bangor, you can, generally, other cities find lots of value in, how much activity there is by both the users and the venue managers on Foursquare. So if I was creating a special, I would choose something. I'm going to choose a check-in special. It's going to ask me when I want the special, when the special get unlocked. And for this one, it's every time, so it's automatic. Sometimes in the other options, there'll be some different choices. I put in what the offer description is, and it puts it up on our little sample mobile phone here. And then if you have any fine print that you need to put in, like, this is just for, 1 free coffee per person per day. You don't want somebody checking in all day long and getting free coffee. Or you want to put a date in. Or you want to put something like, please show your mobile screen to the register. All right. Hold on. Okay, so that is one way, having, claiming your business's venue and managing it. That's one way of being able to use Foursquare to, interact and engage and attract new and existing customers and build your fan base. The other way is to build, other than a venue, is to have a page, which is a brand. And this is a little bit different when you have a brand. Our example on the phone here is the History Channel. You're not going to walk into the History Channel and check in. If you do, I'd like to know how. But the History Channel itself has a brand page on Foursquare, and they're able to use that to offer content or share content that they probably already created, so they're just using it again and engaging their fans. And they can even do different specials and that type of thing. But they can also leave tips, basically, at different locations, pretty much anywhere. And what's different about this and a venue page, Giacomo's, for example, can't check into a place. It's a venue. But a brand can check into a place. And it does that. A brand is the only user, basically, that can check in via the website and can check in anywhere, which is really kind of neat.
Can a brand claim locations?
A brand, it's under a brand that you would actually organize your multiple locations.
Right. So like if a company doesn't want an individual to claim them, they want a company to claim them.
Right. You could group them all under that. So where this is interesting is, for example, let's pick on Mark a little bit. WHSN, although it has a venue right now, could also build a brand page. And then WHSN, because it is a radio station that is also online, so it's accessible by almost anybody, could check into different things that tie into their mission or their music, or I'm trying to think of other things for other organizations. But and when you do that, you are then interacting with other people that are checking into that. So let's say this Saturday night at the Asylum in Portland, Dean Ford and the Other Bones are playing. Now, I don't know if Mark's planning on going. If he is, I need a ride. But WHSN, if it was a brand page, could check into that location where all these fans are going to see this music, and it's the type of music WHSN plays. Now, if they're not from the Bangor area, but they are seeing who else is checked in here, they can find out a little bit more about WHSN, get their get their online address for listening to music, and the WHSN could gain a few new listeners. Now try to pair that up with what maybe you do. If you're involved with maybe not a bricks and mortar location, but somewhere where you're trying to find ways to get in touch with people and expand your brand awareness. The one thing that is required to create a brand page is you do have to have a Twitter handle for that brand, that organization. And you just go to foursquare.com/pages, and this is where you would go to create that page. You sign in with Twitter. It gives you your Foursquare page being your Twitter name. And then you start to build from there. You're able to brand that a lot differently than you can a venue page. You're able to put different graphics and all sorts of information. You can leave tips all over the place, all over the world. So if you were, again, we'll continue with the example of WHSN. If you wanted to leave tips at all the other, venues in the Bangor area where live music is played, you could do that. And then every time that every time somebody checks into one of those locations, they may see that you left that tip. Notice I said may. One way to really increase the chances of somebody seeing that is for people to actually like your brand. So again, this goes in tandem with your own other promotion online or in real life of your company, your brand, etc. You need to let people know, hey, you need to like our page. Just like you do on Foursquare, you do Facebook. You are constantly trying to get more people to like the page so that people are seeing your posts. Same thing with Foursquare. It's really difficult sometimes when you're talking about Facebook and Foursquare. They both become F. Yes.
I'm Alex Gray.
You're Alex Gray.
I'm not. Way younger than I am. And I've got a bunch of concerts going all over the state of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't necessarily want to tie it to a venue, but I want to tie it to the brand.
Mm-hmm.
And so do I have to have a venue page, or can I just have a brand page? And then when I push the concerts wherever they might be, because he's in Portland and Augusta and here, he only needs that brand page. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Now you can't check into a brand.
No.
But the brand can promote itself on Foursquare.
Yeah. Okay. That's
at the different locations. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't need to have a claimed venue page.
To have a brand page.
Yes.
No.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
You do not.
That was a confusing question. Because I was still thinking about Alex Gray.
Interesting. So I like to kind of sometimes describe those two things as almost an active use and kind of a passive use, although passive isn't the right word, just active in a different way, between having a venue page or a venue and having a brand. The way that you're able to interact in the two different manners are completely different. People can't, like I said, they can't check into a brand, but they can check into a venue. So when you're looking at things like the local updates that you're able to put, and the specials, those are going to come up as people are searching for places and as they check into places or your place, every time. Yep.
As a small business owner, it seems to me that having a venue is less work than having a brand because other people are checking into your venue, thus promoting it as much as it's going to get promoted. Though there is some special tweaking brands, you got to constantly be putting info out.
But what you can do with brands is you don't have to constantly. I mean, it depends on the person. It depends on the brand owner. You could do that all the time. I mean, like with any kind of social media, you could be doing it 24/7 if you really had the time, money, and wanted to. But with the brands, you're also able to kind of let them run after a certain point for a while, and you can always go back and you do new content. But with a venue page, and different people can use these in different ways, obviously. But I think with the venue page, I think you're trying to be a little more hands-on all the time. You are interacting with what tips people are leaving. You are looking at the. You do get stats with or analytics with the brand stuff, but it's not the same as, it's not as active as a venue's could be. So you're able to kind of see the traffic a lot. You're able to see the traffic, their interactivity a lot more. You're able to tailor things specifically, whether it's specials, that type of thing, to how people are interacting with your venue. So, I mean, it could go one or two ways, I guess. So,
How do mobile locations work?
what's that?
How do mobile locations work? Does the owner,
Moving targets.
does the owner have to change the location?
You can set something up as a moving target, and such as Chad's beard, or like a food truck. And when you do that, it allows it to not be locked into, a certain location through your GPS. So you're able to check into it a lot, easier than trying to fool where you are and that type of thing. But the only downside to a moving target is it doesn't come up as easily when you're searching in an area, because the street bistro truck may have last been in, I don't know, the Kmart parking lot, for example, and now it's downtown, and maybe you're downtown and it's not coming up, but you're standing right in front of it. Why isn't it there? Because it's not really located there. So,
Search for it and check in. The person
but you can search
that
for it.
Profile doesn't have to constantly
No,
assign a location.
no, don't have to do that at all.
What resets the location, the first check-in?
I believe so. You can change your location as well. I mean, as a venue manager, you can do that if you feel like you need to. If you really have obviously moved locations for more than just a day, or even if you want to do it, But
If I had a bistro truck and I moved and I checked in at my new location, would that be enough to reset it so that the first customer that walked up would find me on a search?
I believe so. I haven't actually seen it in practice yet, but I think that it does work that way. So
later today,
Yeah.
not if, I'll create a brand page for WHSN.
Mm-hmm.
Will that run parallel to a WHSN as a venue? Will it replace WHSN as a venue? Will it sync? How does that work? Or are there still going to be two different WHSNs?
There will be two different WHSNs, but they're categorized differently. I don't mean the categories like whether it's a radio station or not, but whether it's a venue or whether it's a brand. The brand itself can also become a manager of the venue. So you can opt for it to do that, so that when you are on Foursquare on the website and you log in as WHSN, the brand, you are able to manage that site from that. It doesn't replace it. There will be the two, but again, they work really differently. So, and you can use one to promote the other as well. So, other questions?
I was wondering
Yes.
if any value between, say, a company going to trade shows and whatnot. Is there any value with Foursquare there? Do you change the check-in? Or how could we leverage that?
Okay. Good question. For example, when I was with the Convention and Visitors Bureau, I went to a few trade shows. This is actually where North Carolina came in. Or actually it was South Carolina, actually, wasn't it? Anyways, but at these trade shows, you were seeing very active marketing people from all over the country. And I, being used to being here, thinking, I'm going to be the first person that checks into this place, probably the only person, I would go to the location and I would be like, it would already be swarmed with people, which is really pretty cool. But as you see kind of who else has checked into places and you're interacting with them also, interacting with your check-in on Twitter, you're able to start kind of cross-referencing the activity and seeing what is happening. As you're trying to think here, I've seen different conferences have different vendors that end up putting their tables or their booths in as a Foursquare location. And offer different specials as well if you check into their booth. And that becomes very interactive because you're seeing that when you go to check into the area and that venue has left a tip that, hey, check into our booth at whatever and you're going to get a free pencil or something, I don't know. But, so that's one way that, when you're going to like trade shows and things like that you're able to kind of interact more with people. Is that answering your question, or are you looking for?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions?
What about Google? Do they care? I mean, does this feed Google at all?
Foursquare does rate into Google search, yeah. Yep.
Is Foursquare going to be around? I was mentioning to my husband that I was going to this today, and he said, I thought they were dead. He said he was talking to vendors who have similar products to Foursquare, and they were saying, Foursquare is done. And then I looked it up, and there are some predictions that they're not going to survive, but they had the opportunity to be bought out and didn't take it. And
they had an opportunity to be bought out very, very early, and they said we're not finished developing yet, and they've continued to develop, and they continue to. There are the API is out there. New developers are coming up with different things and tying different apps to it every day. As a user, from the user side of things, I see the use of it increasing. I see more people using it. I see places like Bangor, which is still very empty of offers and specials, but I see the activity just continuing to increase in Bangor. I'm checking into places, in the last year, it's been great to check into places and see that there's this many people checked into this place as well, and I know none of them. And that's a far cry from 2010 when I knew all of them. Right. So it's really neat to see that. From the business side of it, I really don't know. I really don't know. So.
Yeah, so mine's the same topic, or similar. Were you a Gowalla user, and do you have a perspective on why Foursquare is still around and Gowalla is not?
I was a Gowalla user, and actually, did anybody else use Gowalla or even know what it was? All right, it was another sort of checking in app, and it had a really great design to it and great interface. And I really liked it for a few different things other than Twitter. And because I'm nuts, I would actually check into a place and feed it to Twitter via Foursquare, and I would check into a place and feed it to Facebook via Gowalla at the time, because what showed up on Facebook for Foursquare at the time was just ugly. It was just a little map, and it was just yuck. But there were really nice little designed icons and stuff like that Gowalla used. So it just made it sort of something neater to look at. And I thought at least it would get more attention on the Facebook feed. Why did Gowalla fail? I don't know. They seemed to be scrambling. There were a lot of updates and changes to it in the last 6 months of its existence, and I think that they were really scrambling to try to be different, and maybe that got in the way of just getting a better foothold. There are other check-in apps.
I guess I'm wondering if there was anything predicted in Gowalla going away that might suggest Foursquare's got some issues too.
I don't know. I really don't. Other than that, at that time there was a lot of other location apps like that went away as well. So, and I think part of it has to do with some of the relationship between things like Foursquare and Twitter, which had a really good relationship from the start, I think. So.
Moving to the user side of things, I know a lot of people, especially the older type, who are moving to social media. Their perceived privacy is kind of at risk.
Yeah.
And with Foursquare, especially being a check into a location place, it tells people where you are and tells you where you're not, like home. So what would you say to people who still maybe want to use, see what's going on and see kind of the things that are out there, but maybe don't want to have everyone know where they are all the time?
You have a couple different options. When you check into a place, first of all, you can either hide that from your friends, and that is, before you're even having the ability to share it to Facebook or Twitter. So instead of even sharing it, you can not share it on Foursquare. You can just keep a check-in to yourself. You don't receive points, by the way, but if you care about that kind of thing. But you're able to just, check in. That's just, for your own use. In fact, I've seen salespeople that use Foursquare to keep track of where they go. Because then they can look at the end of the day and say, okay, where did I go and stop in and have conversations with people? It was all these places. That way they're not constantly writing something down. They're just checking in. But to further answer that question, the privacy of, say, people's homes, because a lot of people like to, put their home and check into their home. You have the ability to signify that something is a home when you create it. And when you do that, it becomes private, can only be seen by your friends. So it's not going to be out there to be seen by people that aren't your friends. So, if you wanted to say, well, this is, Nason's man cave.
Daddy cave.
There's no such thing.
You can mark it as a home location, and only those people that Mark has chosen to be friends with on Foursquare is ever going to see that he's checked in there if he says it's open to people to see. Other people are not going to see it. See it there. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah. No, I use Foursquare.
Yeah.
I just know that's when talking to people.
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't want people to know where I am.
Right.
And all that, so.
It really just, it's based on how people, how much people get into it and how much they use it, and it's just getting in and playing with it and using the knowledge rather than just going, oh my gosh, I don't want people to know. People have been worried about people stalking them, that kind of thing. Good rule of thumb: if they're friends on Foursquare, make sure they're friends in real life. So that's a real easy thing. I know we're kind of running over, and I wanted to say a couple quick things first, though. I mentioned again that this is not just for bricks and mortar businesses. It's not just for stores, retail. It's not just for restaurants. It can be for your organization. It could be for your dance company. It can be for your internet company. It could be for your car dealership and all its locations and the branding that you do. It could be for your consulting business. There's so many ways to use this, whether it's the venues or the pages. If you are a business that is your marketing business, well, what better way to market your customers than to say something about them? They're going to see that, and you're able to kind of extend your brand as well. Or you just become an expert, basically, on Foursquare. So to pick on people on the back, Bangor on a budget, I would urge you to have Bangor on a budget leave a tip at all the places that you've reviewed. And that tip will lead people to your website. It shows that you are an expert in this. The other thing that I think is really important, again, I said that there's lots of people using it around here. But the problem is that there's not a lot of businesses that have adopted using specials. There are a lot of chain businesses that have. Macy's has a special. Bugaboo Creek has a special. Chili's has a special. But there's very few local businesses that have got into it and created something for people to interact with for specials. Giacomo's today is great. Please go get a free coffee. The new special at Governor's, excellent. I hope that works for them. I hope that they continue to use it. Valentine Footwear downtown, they have a special. $5 off a pair of shoes when you check in. Maybe not for all the guys, but unless you wear heels, I don't know. But I know from feedback from talking to Summer that she doesn't have a lot of people checking in, or at least getting that special from her. And I think it happens because there's not enough locations driving the users to look for specials. We're not used to it in this area. People are checking into places all over, but they're not really getting rewards from the local businesses. So they're not really looking for them at this point. But as more we all try to do that, then we really start to raise that usability. And that also will increase the amount of people that are using it. When tourists come into town, and I've seen this happen, tourists are using Foursquare. And they're looking up for places to go, and they're also looking for specials because they're used to it in other places that they go to. And not just in the States, all over the world. And I see a lot of crazy stuff happening in the UK and in London. There's all sorts of amazing and creative specials and ways that businesses are using it out there. There's a question over here.
Oh, that brought me to, do you have any numbers on users of Foursquare here in the Bangor region?
No. The only ones that I could share, I could show you the Giacomo's numbers of how many, and there's just not enough businesses that have actually claimed their venues that there's really a good way to come up with enough data. So as we try to expand that, then I think that we will see more of it. Foursquare Day is April 16th for Foursquare.
High Day is next Thursday.
Yeah, but that's not an app. It's not what we're talking about. It would be a good special for governors. So Foursquare and a lot of the users and venues, they all try to celebrate that day by trying to do more to promote the use of it. And so this is my thing I'm putting out to all of you. You've got a little more than a month. Get on Foursquare, get your business, claim your venue, create a brand, put out specials, do something that we can all kind of collate that all this Foursquare activity able to happen on April 16th. And let's put it out there. And let's let people know that Bangor is a Foursquare city. And that there are rewards, and that there's something fun, and I don't know. Just go get your free coffee today. Are there any marketing people in the room? No, not marketing, but marketing consultants and companies. There really isn't a lot, especially in our area, of companies that are aiding with Foursquare. There's a few here and there, but it's not top of mind. Everybody's trying to do Facebook and Twitter. Right. But it has that different interactivity. It has a different way to feed into the other things.
The target market is different.
Right.
The people that are using it if they're your target, you should consider using it.
Right. And one feedback note I get from some of these firms is that, well, no one's asking us to help them with Foursquare, so we're not doing it. As venues and business owners, as they start to realize that there's value in this, whether it's something that you're doing yourself or whether it's something that you're trying to have done by whoever's maybe handling some of your other marketing and promotional stuff, get it out there, because unless it is something that people know to ask for, we're not going to see a greater reward by more of us taking part in it. Does that make sense? And as I do use it a lot, and I actually do manage some venues and do some specials and that kind of thing, I am happy to talk with anybody at any time, brainstorm some ideas for your particular business or organization, or how actually this could work for you. Because for some of us, it's not that straight path for like a bricks and mortar location. It's something that has to be a little more out of the box. So, thank you.